Oye, escúchame, te cuento una historia de dos muchachos del estado California. Nosotros somos como dos superhéroes, y cuando hablo la gente me llaman veteran, volando por encima de todos los perdedores. Yo quiero que bailen los ricos y también los pobres. Ya tú sabes, en mi casa todos somos iguales, y rico en cultura yo no necesito reales. No me toques, estoy caliente, hijo de puchica. Esta es la nueva ola de la música. Traigo un sonido que nunca has oído hablar, y tengo un ruido en mi tronque como elefante. Mi sonido número uno en tu oído, tan profundo. Mira qué chido, soy vagabundo. Este ritmo es el futuro. Mi sonido número uno en tu oído, tan profundo. Mira qué chido, soy vagabundo. Este ritmo es el futuro.
And the ruler for the dance all of my sound that, and the teacher for the dance all of my sound that. When we a fling the play, my sound that. Now we a big heavyweight, my sound that. Oh, bring the girl them in the party with my sound that. Hey, look at sexy shorty cause of my sound that. When we a fling the play, my sound that. Now we a big heavyweight. When my sound a step up, we no bet up. We a take up, we get up. Funeral night party are set up. And the girl them we love, so a them we a bet up. Dance all night and we wine and sweat up. So tell us sound why say, don't say no check up. If them do that, well a dead up. And them sound a go wreck up. Tell them say my sound don't play catch up. Send sound why say we not take no make up. My sound a the champion. I know we turn over jump and we kill them one by one, musically, physically, ethnically. Me I tell you say, my sound a the champion. I know we turn over jump and we kill them one by one, musically, physically, ethnically. Me I tell you say,
muchacha, quiero que usted mueva el ombligo. Chica salvatrucha, yo quiero ser tu guerrero. Y si me sientes, aquí te espero. Yo te doy de comer, llámame el mesero. Mi sonido pesa 1 tonelada, y los domingos yo bebo mi michelada. Mi música vale su peso en oro, y tu mano para arriba cuando yo canto el coro. Ahora se ha cumplido con la leyenda en persona. Usted me hace balbuci, mamá Sharona. Soy como un rayo que golpea cuando menos te lo esperas, y cuando camino mi perro en las aceras. Mi sonido número uno en tu oído, tan profundo. Mira qué chido, soy vagabundo. Este ritmo es el futuro. Mi sonido número uno en tu oído, tan profundo. Mira qué chido, soy vagabundo. Este ritmo es
so when
el
the heat
futuro.
turn on and the place a run hot, sound boy run gone. Don't know if them gun hot. Them shoulda know we born down inna the sun hot. And enough sound boy we bury enough. That's how when you see them a this and you see them a that. Well I pick them a pick for them funeral spot. No up a shoot a sell, them want a lot. My sound does the whole of them in a come bad. My sound a the champion. I know we turn over jump and we kill them one by one, musically, physically, ethnically. Me I tell you say, my sound a the champion. I know we turn over jump and we kill them one by one, musically, physically, ethnically. Me I tell you say,
Para atrás, para adelante y más. No te pongas fancy, mami, dale gas. Mami, tu cadera, me da tembladera. Y ahora en mi corazón no tengo pasa. Te quiero más y más y más. Dale pues, baila mujer. Dime que tu corazón es para mí. Te doy el mundo, soy el segundo. Ese es mi nombre, pero soy el primero. Lengua de cuero, soy el guerrero. El que canta en el grupo Bandata. Yo tengo manos y tu cuerpo me mata.
all the Jamaican them all a say, the Ecuador them a shout a say, Peru say, Mexico, and the Colombian them all a say, and the Nicaragua a shout a say, Cuba say, Chile say, a Honduras to the R say, a Venezuela a ball a say, a Argentina a Allah a say, boom 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 boom, a Paraguay them a cry a say, a Panama make a law a say, a Costa Rica them a nika a say, boom, Bolivia boom, Belize boom, a Guatemala a all a say, boom, a Puerto Rico them a echo a say, boom, El Salvador one more, boom, viva la raza, viva la rasta. Africa say, boom, Europe say, boom, Asia say, India say, Middle East say, North and South America I say, Ethiopia say, Somalia say, Ghana to Gambia Allah oh, boom, boom.
Hey.
Mind and matter.
Land is life, the water and the leaves keeping us alive. The sun in the sky, hills in the countryside. Nighttime, the moon bringing in the tide. The earth giving thanks for what it provides. Been doing it for centuries by ourselves. Whole Foods trying to put our culture on a shelf. Urban Outfitters taking what my mama wore. Sell it for 20 times what they bought it for. Back bent and I'm knee deep in the mud. Ooh, that's your rice being tainted with my people's blood. Trying to pray, but it ain't enough. All I'm getting is a little rain from above. Little of my baby's love, look into her dark eyes. See my reflection, it's then that I realize that it's gonna take a fight that I can't sit aside. Hey yo, it's do or die.
I remember as if all this just happened to me today. My, how things change, it blows me away. My people see life through my eyes today. My tradition, it will not fade away. I've been living off the soil, drinking from the river. I can see my reflection, I can't afford a mirror. Talking to the trees and I listen to the wind. They tell me the mysteries where the world gon' be going. Cocoa leaves are green, in America it's snowing. The Inyo is deceived so that money keeps flowing. Throw me a disease and my village stops growing. Erase my history but my soul keeps knowing. I know the seasons change when the flower drops a petal. Birds had feathers, now they're all made out of metal. My abuelita told me before we got settled, the land was clean and such a beautiful ghetto. Tradition was rich before the Matrix. Can't stop the switch, now it's guns not sticks. Sandino understood how to fight for his hood so that we be good. I remember as if all this just happened to me today. My, how things change, it blows me away. My people see life through my eyes today. My tradition, it will not fade away. The earth speaks to me in code, gotta listen to the wind closely. Gotta stand before the water till the end ghosts me. Swimming in the pain, that emotion knows me. That road to liberation can kinda get lonely. All we want is a piece of this land. I greet the four directions with a piece in my hand, and honor the ancestors with my head to the ground. Open my mouth, the music makes a deafening sound. I put my foot down, I love the way it feels. I put my root down, it shows me I'm real. Come take a look now, on my knees I kneel. Behind me a crook, he shoots with the steel. I pray to the sun, I sing along the drum. My house made of clay and he's calling it a slum. I fight for a peace high in the mountains. I remember as if all this just happened to me today. My, how things change, it blows me away. My people see life through my eyes today. My tradition, it will not fade away. My people. Mi gente, quiero verte alegre. Huepa, hey, huepa, hey. Todo el mundo se mueve crazy. Dale pues. Yo solo quiero ver mi gente alegre. Huepa, hey, huepa, hey. No hay tiempo para la gente.
Yo, what am I thinking when I don't extend my hand, never helping out the next man, rising to the challenge? I've been a team player since I grew up on the Giants with a style that's so defiant to the laws of this model. Switch gears so easy like a brand new auto. I be leading through my instincts, so run and come follow. At least till we feel a little spot that's hollow. Every day is like performing at Showtime at the Apollo. Work harder than the average to defend my title. Sometimes I got a savage, sometimes I got an idol. I be high on life, they call me Chief with a pipe. Mr. Travel through your hood with CDs and the mic. The same words to his hint that we must all unite. And let the words be a flame and the fires maintain bright. Like when you asleep and mama turning on the light. I spend years verbalizing what I type. On and on the cycle goes. I sing you a song if you come to the show. I want us to grow, fill our water, it's low.
Yeah, see, YouTube just went dark, but it'll black screen.
Life is full of risks, and few know that more than immigrants. Living here alone or with their kids, the ultimate objective is to improve the conditions in which they live. That's why they hustle daily, and God forbid ICE agents hit and then make collateral out of the witnesses. So with protection scarce and limited, they go out to make $1 out of 15 cents. And even with no money on extracurriculars spent, they barely have enough for their groceries and rent. A series of unfortunate, calmly lived events. But their dreams can't be killed, and their will won't be bent. A genuine entrepreneurial spirit that is often met with hypocritical laments and both unwitting and intentional contempt. A testimony to the fact that some people who rave and rant that are discontent are actually complacent and feel a direct threat by the commitment to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that immigrants reflect. And they're probably ignorant to how our country's foreign influence and those immigrants connect. But regardless and nevertheless, from agriculture to taxes that fund Social Security and Medicaid, Americans reap the benefits of immigrant labor, both with and without documents. And look at all the good that DACA did. But I know the focus of 2020 is evident and obvious. A virus that shut down the road like California summer power outages, adding fuel to pre-existing inequalities, exasperating socioeconomic disadvantages. Yes, we have the answer to this. But it's going to take more than generosity and being compassionate. And while I can't say that I fully know what the answer is, I do know that indifference and inaction can be cancerous. But where to start? Perhaps by acknowledging that being essential and illegal is a nasty paradox that leaves people in a box full of anxiety and fear, rejecting medical attention for fear of opportunities being lost. But with our workforce getting older, immigrant labor might be one of the few hopes that we got to keep America moving forward with limited rough spots. You see, the immigrant spirit is American. You can't tell me otherwise. And anyone who works for the American dream deserves a piece of the pie, especially those who journey here at the risk of losing their lives.
Thank you, Jose Cordon. What a great way to open this evening. He wrote this poem especially for tonight. Jose is a local artist from Antioch and one of our newest staff members. Good evening and welcome from all of us at Monument Impact to our Stronger Together live gala. I'm Deborah Ballinger, Executive Director of Monument Impact. I want to thank all of our sponsors, and there's too many to do right now, and all of our donors who sustain Monument Impact during these truly unprecedented times. You have given so generously to our Monument Relief Fund that it is now the largest undocumented fund in Contra Costa County. We hope tonight's program featuring Jose Antonio Vargas will inspire you to join with us to invest in the safety and well-being of our immigrant and refugee community. Tonight's event is an example of the new ecosystem we're all facing. moving everything online. And it comes with glitches, as we've already found out. Yet the foundation of Monument Impact's work is about relationships and trust. So while online is maybe less than ideal for relationship building, we're all safer for it. Please know how grateful we are to have you join us. We hope you're inspired to make a donation during this event, and you can find the donations link in the chat. Now I'm very excited to introduce to you our Healthy Community Coordinator, Lupita Hernandez.
Good evening and welcome to Stronger Together Live. I'm Lupita Hernandez and I'm the Healthy Community Coordinator here at Monument Impact. Here at Monument Impact, we believe that for a community to be truly healthy, residents must have access to safe, affordable, and healthy homes, employment that provides a living wage, physical activity, transportation, and good nutrition, as well as quality health care, child care, education, and strong social connections. While our in-person services have been placed on hold at the moment, we transitioned our core programs to a virtual platform and continue to be available for the well-being of our community members, many of whom work low-wage or temporary jobs and don't have access to things like unemployment, sick leave, or the ability to work remotely from home during this pandemic. We understand how hard it is for the community members we serve to continue to shelter in place and social distance while having to work and still pay rent. Keeping this in mind, we consistently work to build our program structures that best fit our community needs. One core program that transitioned to a virtual platform is Mentes Positivas en Acción. This program is a collaboration with UC San Francisco and John Muir Health. Mentes Positivas en Acción is a program that aims to give Spanish-speaking community members the tools to better manage their stress and depression levels, as well as improve their overall mood. The best part about this program is that it's culturally adapted to the Latino community and is offered completely in Spanish. So without further ado, I would like to share with you Rosalba's story. Rosalba is one of our community members who has benefited from our virtual Healthy Community program. This includes Mentes Positivas en Acción. I invite you to listen to her story. If you feel moved by her words, please consider donating tonight. Your donations can help us continue to support community members just like Rosalba. Thank you.
Nosotros somos Monument Impact.
Y somos Healthy Communities y queremos verte a ti saludable.
Te invitamos a que mantengas una buena salud física y mental.
All of Monument Impact's Healthy Community programs are delivered by our team of trained promotores, health promotores, who also disseminate tools for community members to be active, healthy, and in charge of their well-being.
I'm a single mom. I have 2 kids. I meet Monument Impact because I get computer class, get Zumba class, which one helped me a lot because my life is stressful, so this helped me for stress relief. So when the pandemic started, I stopped working. I was working in restaurant in downtown San Francisco. My kids doesn't go to the school. I need to take care of them, and it is really stressful because no income came to my home. When the pandemic started, I just feeling like, oh my God, that is the end of the world. What is going on? But then, thanks God, Mentes Positivas en Acción called me if I want to get the new virtual class, and I said yes. So that helped me to know I have a support. I meet new people. I don't feel anymore alone. The programs on Monument Impact help a lot to our community because this resource we don't find another place. So on my personal life, it helped me to move forward. I want to share with the community. It's very good, and we are blessed to have a Monument Impact working for us.
Monument Impact Healthy Communities creating a stronger and happier community.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for Stronger Together Live. My name is Lita McCullough-Seletsky, and I am Monument Impact's board secretary. I joined the board a year ago after wrestling with some feelings of anguish over the state of our society, and in particular, the treatment of immigrants and refugees and low-income community members. And I'm really glad that I did take that step, because all those feelings that I had of despair have now been replaced by a sense of purpose and meaning and hope. The video that we just saw was just such an amazing testament to how crucially important Monument Impact is in the lives of so many of our community members. And that's why we're here tonight, to keep this going and be able to provide essential services to more people like Rosalba. And it's your contributions that make programs like this possible. So if you haven't already done so, please go to the chat now and click the link to make a donation. Every single dollar counts. So please donate what you can. And also remember that every attendee who donates $100 or more will get an autographed copy of Dear America, Notes of an Undocumented Citizen, which is written by our keynote speaker, whom I am so excited to introduce. Jose Antonio Vargas is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, Emmy-nominated filmmaker, Tony-nominated producer, and immigrants' rights activist, as well as the author of the best-selling memoir that I just mentioned, Dear America, Notes of an Undocumented Citizen. He is also the founder of the nonprofit media and culture organization Define American, which Fast Company named as one of the world's most innovative companies. So now, let's all please welcome Jose Antonio Vargas.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Or as we actually say in Tagalog, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. I gotta say, as an undocumented Filipino resident of the Bay Area, specifically the East Bay, I live here in Berkeley, it's a privilege to take part in this event, to support Monument Impact and to celebrate the resilience of immigrants. Resilience. To me, it's right up there with empathy. Like, I cannot think of a more important word in a world, in a country, and in a region living through as much as we're all trying to live through. Empathy, resilience. A few hours ago, I got an alert from the SF Chronicle app on my iPhone that today, September 17th, actually marks 6 months since San Francisco and many regions in the area started sheltering in place. In late March, I remember getting this message on Instagram. I actually wanted to share it with you. This is from a woman on Instagram that I've never met before. She said, I am messaging you because you might be able to help a family I know. They have 3 kids and are undocumented. Their oldest daughter was valedictorian at the high school here in town and is a dreamer, which means she can work but doesn't have a social. Her mother sells cakes for a living, but with this whole Corona thing, she's not selling any bread. I am poor, this woman says, but her family is someone I really, really care about, and I'm trying to help them out. They cannot get any food stamps or any kind of state or federal help because they're undocumented. If there's anything you can do, please let me know. This woman goes on to say that she's a teacher and that her husband's a teacher, and that they know this family from Guatemala because of the church. She goes on to say that she doesn't have much income right now, but she's given the family groceries and she's wondering who else in the community can help. Talk about empathy of that neighbor, and talk about the resilience of that Guatemalan immigrant family and many, many other families. So I ended up actually connecting the family to a local group right outside of Des Moines, and they were able to get some help. Unfortunately, in a state like Iowa, there aren't as many organizations and there aren't as many people and many groups to go to for undocumented families to get any kind of help. I want to share another message that I got that to me kind of really underscores what we're dealing with here. A few weeks ago, I heard from this young man in Southern California, an undocumented Mexican freshman college student who doesn't have DACA. As you may know, the Trump administration has stopped accepting new DACA applications. In the message he wrote me, I came to the US at age 9. I'm turning 19 soon. I'm going through a really hard time. I keep returning to your book, and I can't understand where you draw your strength from. He writes, I'm losing hope and optimism every day. I have been diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, and I have not gone through half of what you've gone through, but I don't really know what to do. He goes on to say, why keep going, Jose? What is this fight leading up to? I get a lot of messages from many kinds of people, but I was really struck by this message. So I got him on the phone. I gave him my phone number. We spoke. I told him that 20 years ago, I was in his position. I just graduated from Mountain View High School here in the Bay Area, 2000. I was a freshman at San Francisco State University. There was no DACA at the time, I said to him. There was no social media to find other undocumented people. And I was lost. I told him that my survival, then and now, depended on other people around me. So I'm a journalist by training. I remember first reading about and visiting Contra Costa County when I was a reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle. As a journalist, I was mostly an observer. To me, among the most dangerous words in the English language are I, me, and my. So I actually ended up writing this book to face that danger. So I can use I, me, and my to understand my own mental health, my depression, and what happened to me. I've called America my home now for 27 years, and yet on paper, many of us are not a part of this country. Though people like me, undocumented workers, are seen as essential workers in Contra Costa County, undocumented workers work in various industries: hospitality, construction, professional services, healthcare. For the most part, we are seen as essential workers, but we're not treated and seen as essential people. So that kind of severance, that separation between a government and people who live under it, leads to a kind of psychological state that I personally, as a writer, am still trying to make sense of and put into language. When I was writing my book, I structured the book in 3 parts: lying, passing, and hiding. Undocumented immigrants and immigrants at large are as diverse and complex as any other people, but we know very well what it means to live a life of having to lie about who we are so we can work, having to pass as someone else, pass to look different, sound different, be more American, whatever that even means, and hiding, not only from the government, who know very well that we're here, talk to the IRS, talk to the Social Security Administration, but also from our friends and our loved ones, often even hiding from ourselves. I told this young man from Southern California, this undocumented freshman student, that among the most important parts of the book is a very short chapter called Strangers. That this was part of the book that I listed everyone who has ever helped me find my way in this country. With your permission, I just kind of want to read like the first 3 paragraphs of this section. Strangers. There is no passing alone. At every challenging, complicated, and complicating juncture of my life, getting to college, getting a job, getting a driver's license so I could have a valid proof of identification so I could get a job, keeping the job, a stranger who did not remain a stranger saved me. I use that word deliberately because that was what each of them did, even if they didn't know what they were doing. Saved. They saved me. I told this young man that if freedom cannot come from this government, from a government, then freedom must come from people. I told him that you need to surround yourself with people who don't need pieces of papers or laws that people don't even understand, including this president, to treat you and to treat us like human beings. Now, I'm sharing all of this because to me, this is what this gathering, this virtual event is actually all about. Freedom. By helping Monument Impact do their work, you are aiding the freedom of immigrants and their families across Contra Costa County. I hope you joined me a few minutes ago before the evening started. I actually just donated. So I hope you join me and others into donating to the work of this organization, which will help the Monument Relief Fund that provides financial assistance for the undocumented community and programs dedicated to helping folks recover from the financial impact of this pandemic. Thank you for having me here tonight and for all that you do.
Wow. And thank you, Jose, for your wise and very powerful words. And, sorry. Those are some words that we all need to sit with that, right? We all need to think about that. Okay. So I want to talk about freedom because I was really struck by what you said about how freedom is something that comes from people and not from government. And so can you tell me, what does freedom mean to you? And, how do you define that?
And let me say, by the way, so I was a political reporter for the Washington Post, so I know how politics work. And I don't want to I don't want to get all political and talk about the election that's going to happen in 44 days. Although, please, if you have the privilege of voting, please vote on behalf of people like me who can't vote, right? Who don't have that privilege. And I don't really know when immigration reform is going to happen. I don't know what that looks like. But what I do know is that every city, every county, every community must decide what matters to them, right? And so I am now increasingly of the belief that each community and each county and each city has to define for themselves who belongs in their community and then act on what that means logistically, right? So if that means, for example, giving people driver's licenses in the state of California, if that means creating a relief fund, right? If that means, for example, that our state is one of the few states, I have to give credit to Governor Newsom. When this pandemic first hit, I'm sure there were many people like me who were reaching out to the governor's office trying to figure out, hey, what are you going to do for all the undocumented workers across the state who are not eligible for the relief fund? So that's what I mean by that. Like here in Berkeley, for example, where I live, I've been thinking a lot about voting rights, right? And this idea that undocumented people like me can't vote, and yet we live in communities and contribute to these communities. Is it time, for example, for cities and counties to let undocumented residents vote in local elections? I don't know, but that's something I've been thinking a lot about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm really intrigued by this notion that you just brought it up, and you mentioned it also in an interview with Trevor Noah in May. You were talking back then about an essay in which the author was lamenting some travel restrictions that had recently come into place. Wow. And you had pointed out that undocumented people were already facing travel restrictions, which you talk about some in your book, like with respect to driving in certain states. And you said that for undocumented immigrants, social distancing isn't something that the pandemic brought about. It's our reality. And you mentioned also these themes of lying and passing and hiding. Could you talk a little bit more about that and the impact that has on the undocumented immigrant population?
I was one of my favorite writers is a woman named Susan Orlean. She writes for The New Yorker. And I think a couple of weeks after the pandemic hit, she wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal. And the headline is "Never Taking Travel for Granted Again." The subheadline was "Crossing the Globe had never been easier." I'm reading it right here. Until the coronavirus reminded us of the real meaning of distance. So it was quite triggering to read this. And that's when I started thinking about, well, wait a second, because I keep trying to look for a way for other people who aren't undocumented to understand what it means to live under these conditions, right? What does it actually mean tangibly? I was just talking to a dear friend of mine a couple of weeks ago who has been a big supporter of Define American and of our work. And she said she lives in LA, her parents are in New Jersey. And she said that she didn't really quite understand what it has meant for me to be separated from my mother for 27 years until this pandemic hit. That even though she can go to New Jersey, she can't, right? Because she's trying to protect her parents, social distancing, all of that. But she said that she understood at a deeper level what family separation means for millions of people who can't. So, and to me, again, that's where empathy and resilience comes into play. And so anything that we can do to make each other realize that these experiences, the circumstances may be different, but the feelings are actually the same, right? Like what it means to be separated from family, what it means for your life to have limitations, what it means to be forced to adapt. These are things that undocumented immigrants deal with every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you talked about, these strangers that did not remain strangers and, reaching out with empathy and helping you in key ways. And of course, there are many people who are watching now and wondering, how can I be a good ally to undocumented immigrants? And, how can I best serve this community? So what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I think allyship really depends on people's circumstances, right? But I do think when I think of allyship, I like to think of it more as as a verb, right? Like how do you actually put it into action? One of the key things for me is if you're not feeling uncomfortable, then it's probably not enough, right? May it be asking for, hey, like what are we doing at work for undocumented families? It may mean something as uncomfortable as confronting policies at schools and at school districts, right? Like I think a lot about, you look at, I remember there was a survey done a couple of weeks ago that in the city of San Francisco, 70% of COVID cases are among Latinx communities, the Latinx community. Why? Because they're the ones working. So if they're working, so who's taking care of the kids at home if they have kids? Like what kind of systems are we creating so that the people who are essential workers actually are seen as people who are members of families, and how are we taking care of those families? I have to say, I was really struck, in that introductory video of a woman who lost her job and said that her life is really stressful, but she's so grateful that she can go do some Zumba. Right? I was like, yes, undocumented immigrants need to go get Zumba too, right? So I just think it's important that we show up where we can. Like activism doesn't mean just holding a sign and going to a protest. I mean, many of us in many ways, when we do that, it's great that we do that, right? But in some ways we're preaching to the choir, right? But I'm interested in the activism that looks inward and the allyship that says, this is what I'm willing to risk. This is how I'm willing to be uncomfortable.
Right. And, as bleak as things seem these days, oftentimes, with the pandemic and the wildfires and various other things, political climate, whenever I hear you speak or read an interview or watch you, I always detect this hopeful note. And, I kind of feel like the young man that had contacted you and you called him and he asked you, where do you get your strength? What is it that gives you this sense of hope?
Two things. One, I was really blessed because I was exposed to generosity of people so early, right? I had teachers. I mean, teachers to me talk about sheroes and heroes, right? Like, I was so blessed to have been exposed to what generosity looks like at such a young age. And so when I go to places like, before this pandemic hit, I had an event in Mississippi at the University of Mississippi. And there was actually some protesters. It was actually pretty hilarious because they were protesting me, but I showed up And I guess they were probably waiting for Jose Antonio Vargas, who looks like a Jose Antonio Vargas. But I walked past the protesters and I was like, wait, do they not know that I'm the person they're protesting? Like, do they think I should look a little more different or whatever? So when I go to places like that, or I go on Fox News, for example, which I do, or I talk to conservatives and Republicans who want me deported and detained, I carry all of that generosity with me. I carry all those mentors that I had when I was in high school and in college, right? So that gives me hope. And then the other thing that really gives me hope a lot, I was exposed to James Baldwin and Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou when I was a high school student. Thank God to the Mountain View Public Library, and read everything they ever wrote. And, you know, there's this great line that Baldwin has about, I cannot be a pessimist because I am alive. Right? Which means that to be a pessimist means that life is nothing but an academic matter. So I have to be an optimist. I have to believe that we will survive what we must survive. And so when I lose hope and when I think that I'm alone, I remind myself that other people survive things harder than whatever it is that I'm going through, right? That in many ways, I think because they survived it, I can survive it.
Wow. That is powerful, really powerful. And I just want to thank you again, Jose, for your wisdom and your insights and spending some time with us this evening in support of Monument Impact. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate your voice and your presence here this evening. So thank you so much.
I really, really appreciate this. And I just donated, and please, everybody donate. Let's try to hit, there's a goal here of $50,000. So I'm going to keep checking this, and hopefully we can hit that goal.
So appreciated. Thank you so much. That's right. And, you know, I would appreciate everyone who's watching, you know, just what Jose said, let's sit with that, let's think about that, and also let's donate so that we can continue to make a difference. And also for everyone watching, please be sure to check out Jose's incredible organization, Define American. He's the founder of this group. You can find more information at www.defineamerican.org. And you definitely want to read his groundbreaking memoir, Dear America, Notes from an Undocumented Citizen. And now we are going to keep this gala going. We're going to get the party started with some music from an amazing artist from right here in the Bay Area. It's Deuce Eclipse, and he has roots right here in the beating heart of Concord. He has an incredible sound. You might want to make sure you have some room around you to dance. You might, you know, the music starts playing, you decide you want to get down. But let's give it up now for Deuce Eclipse.
Ever wonder where you're going after this? Do you think about the people that you miss? Does every kiss feel like your first kiss? Do you live like you're a pawn for the rich? Are we thinking about the next generation? Or is your head low, phone fascination? Many people getting lost in applications. Take away your freedom, but we give it to our nation. Is anybody thinking what the next level is? Some revel in your sorrow, people devilish. Nowadays, I ain't knowing what a rebel is, because the Huda always reaching where the metal is. Oh yeah, yeah. There's so many roads that we can take. Here's my hand to hold when your heart aches. Don't let no one control what's real and what's fake. I wanna see your soul pave the way. When was the last time that you peeped the sunset or took an opportunity so that you don't feel regret? Snitching with impunity, you about to get your chin checked. Many been woke while others steady been slept. Who's to judge? I be walking through the sludge, but one thing that I don't do, I don't rely on a crutch or listen to the news. You know, I think I had enough. The viral viruses are going wild up in the cut. They got us where they want us, so we gotta make a new plan. Look within or we are never gonna understand. Kick it with your fam.
Get yourself some land, open up your mind, so you ain't doing time. Put it on the line, try and help the blind. Without each other, we gon' be another chalk line. On the sidewalk where all of the weeds grow. Under the concrete are the seeds that I sow. Burn it all down, turn it all around. Returning to the crown, the vermin all are drowned. We swerving to the sound, the sermon on the mound is concerning to the clown. So we burn it on down, burn it all down, turn it all around. Returning to the crown, the vermin all are drowned. We swerving to the sound, the sermon on the mound is concerning to the clown. So we burn it on down. Oh yeah, yeah. There's so many roads that we can take. Here's my hand to hold when your heart aches. Don't let no one control what's real and what's fake. I wanna see your soul pave the way. I'll be led by the stars to find the day. To the dead, our regards, you passed away. Breaking bread with my fam that's in the bay. Brain dead, you won't last, this ain't for play. There's rules to the game, but fools ain't the same. The tools ain't for lames, they drool for the fame. It's cruel to be vain, a mule with the mane. Who will take the blame, the fuel to the flame? Right, right. There's so many roads that we can take. Here's my hand to hold when your heart aches. Don't let no one control what's real and what's fake. I wanna see your soul pave the way. Burn it all down, turn it all around. Returning to the crown, the vermin all are drowned. We swerving to the sound, the sermon on the mound is concerning to the clown. So we burn it on down, burn it all down, turn it all around. Returning to the crown, the vermin all are drowned. We swerving to the sound, the sermon on the mound is concerning to the clown. So we burn it on down. Thank you very much. Like I said, it's been my pleasure.
I think it's messed up. Thank you so much, Jose Antonio Vargas. Wow. What a gift to have you share your experience with our community. Empathy and resilience is the most important message for us to remember. And Deucey Clips, thank you so much. I hope everyone was dancing. Deuce is a local artist from here in Concord. Mr. Vargas is a hard act to follow, but I'll try. 2020 will go down as a year of unprecedented change and challenges, making this moment so urgent, especially as we look to the future. COVID-19 has hit the Latinx community hard, putting a spotlight on the racial disparities in healthcare, housing, and services. 44% of all COVID cases diagnosed in our county are in the Latinx community. They also experience dramatic job losses, destabilizing their already unstable housing. With children at home attending online school, it takes more food to feed a family these days, an impossible situation when you have no income. Year after year, our immigrant neighbors have had to grapple with immigration policies and systems that marginalize and make them feel unwanted. But as we just heard now so eloquently from Jose, immigrants are resilient and empathetic. After all, they come here at great risk with a profound mission to create a better life for their children. So how we respond to this unprecedented moment makes a difference. At Monument Impact, we see the many ways our immigrant neighbors are responding to this crisis. Like the father with few resources to share, making sure that the single mother in his building has food for her children. We see folks using the time at home to take Monument Impact's online classes to gain new skills, preparing and hoping for a reopening job market. We see demand for our mental health classes, teaching participants how to manage the stress of being out of work and the fear of being evicted. And we see our essential workers, our day laborers, still going out to work even though there are fewer jobs and the air quality is putting their health at risk. Inspired by the resilience in our community, Monument Impact has responded with action. With the tremendous support of our donors, we launched our Monument Relief Fund in April to provide much needed financial assistance to our undocumented community. Our community organizers successfully advocated with our allies for eviction moratoriums in Concord, Antioch, Pittsburgh, and throughout the county, because without a home, you cannot shelter in place, nor can you recover from the devastating and long-term economic impacts of this pandemic. But these moratoriums are expiring soon, so there's more work to be done. Our amazing staff shifted all of our in-person programs online, allowing us to serve more people in spite of the digital divide in low-income communities. Even participants who don't have a computer are attending classes using Zoom on their smartphones. And we just launched our 2020 Get Out the Vote campaign, focusing on youth, because when they vote, they represent the voices of their family members and neighbors who cannot. Although we had to close our offices this year, Monument Impact has served more than 8,000 people in technology and mental health classes, tenants' rights counseling, day labor and immigration services, census outreach, and wellness checks. Our online tenants' rights guide alone has been seen by more than 11,000 people. And we also developed a catalog of over 30 inspirational and fun training videos covering a wide range of topics. And the Monument Relief Fund has provided over $1 million in financial aid to more than 1,600 families, benefiting another 5,500 men, women, and children. COVID-19 has exposed the fragility of our systems, from housing to healthcare access, from educating our children online to getting back into the workplace, from the urgent need to address racial inequities to breaking the cycle of poverty. The late John Lewis said, "When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something. It is not fair or just that immigrants and people of color have been left behind. So we at Monument Impact are doing something just as we have for 19 years. We work with our community members and respect their leadership. We work with our partners because we cannot impact change alone. We work with all of you to ensure that we are creating systems that support belonging and prosperity for everyone. In so many ways, we are in a race for time. We must seize this moment to invest in our most important asset, our people. We know we are stronger together, and we cannot rebuild or be ready for the next crisis if we are not in this all together. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here and for your generous investment in our community. I'd like to introduce you to a few of our Relief Fund recipients.
Sí, yo perdí mi trabajo en esta pandemia 2020 en marzo debido a que cerraron la tienda.
As a single mother during this pandemic, it's hard for me to provide all the needs for my family, such as rent, food, utilities, and also having our kids attending school from home.
In March of this year, we became painfully aware that many of our community members had already lost their jobs, even before shelter in place was formalized. At that point, we decided to start the Monument Relief Fund. We did our research and due diligence about how to do that. And we created sort of a modest goal of $60,000, which we exceeded in the first 2 weeks.
En junio empezaron a abrir tiendas, tuve la oportunidad de volver a regresar a trabajar, pero debido a que el papá de mis hijos fue contagiado de COVID y todos nosotros fuimos expuestos al virus, tuve que quedarme en casa, tuvimos que esperar para hacer citas, para ver los resultados de que fueran negativos antes de poder regresar. Y mientras tanto en esto pues ya perdí la oportunidad de regresar a trabajar. Tengo que estar esperando todavía a que me llamen. Pues es estresante porque no he podido pagar la renta bien. Tengo que estar con los biles todavía pendientes, el hacer como para comprar comida. Y todo esto me hace sentir pues a veces enojada, molesta conmigo, con toda la situación y estresada, más que todo, estresada. Estoy aliviada de recibir las ayudas de Monument Refund porque fue fácil de aplicar, fue rápido y todo fue en menos de un mes. Entonces me sentí feliz.
We realized pretty quickly that $60,000 was not going to serve very many people. And we just kept going. And the generosity of our donors allowed us to keep going. We're now at over $1.3 million. We've served nearly 700 community members, and we have a ways to go. The pandemic isn't going away anytime soon, and every month that passes means a family is further and further behind in paying their rent, their bills, buying food for their kids. We can't go back to the way it was. We never will go back to the way that it was because it never was good enough. We've left too many people behind in this pandemic, especially in the Latinx community. Here in Contra Costa, 41% of those who are infected with coronavirus are in the Latinx community. We know their needs are going to continue. We know that we have to help them recover once they are able to go back to work.
The financial support came at the right time. I was struggling with all my bills, and when I received that money, I used the money to make one of my payments, which made me feel more relief. Each person handled this type of crisis differently. In my case, it has taught me to not give up and to work to overcome every obstacle in my life. I'm still taking English classes online, and I got my GED recently, which was one of my biggest goals. I'm still working in more because I have more, but at the moment I just keep my mind positive during all this crisis.
En estos momentos, pues mi futuro es incierto. Ahorita con todo esto no sabemos cuándo vamos a regresar a la normalidad. Ahorita no sabemos todavía nada seguro. No sabemos qué va a pasar más adelante. Pues ahorita todavía sigo teniendo mis deudas, todavía no he regresado a trabajar. Espero que ya sea pronto.
Even though we don't know the future, what's going to happen, having organizations like Monument Impact, it's great because they put the seed in you, and that's our job, to be feeding that and get to the point where you feel, okay, I'm improving all my skills, I'm getting better, and never stop.
Wow, that was so powerful. These stories are really getting me tonight, but it's really amazing to see what the Monument Relief Fund has accomplished in such a short time, and also to see what a crucial role it's filling in the community right now for so many people. And by the way, I think that video was filmed back in July, and so since the filming of that video, we have actually doubled the number of people that we've served. So it's just amazing. But of course, this would not be possible without you, our community members, our supporters, our allies. So if you haven't done so already, please click the link in the chat to contribute to Monument Impact. And also don't forget that every attendee who donates $100 or more will receive an autographed copy of Jose Antonio Vargas's riveting memoir, Dear America, Notes of an Undocumented Citizen. And thanks so much to those of you who have already donated. We truly appreciate it. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Harmony Hayes, who is the Vice President of Operations for Grant Makers Concerned for Immigrants and Refugees. And they are one of our key partners in bringing essential aid to community members who are facing so many roadblocks when it comes to getting assistance through other means. So let's hear from Harmony why they are supporting and investing in our Monument Relief Fund.
Hello, my name is Harmony Karp Hayes, and I work for Grant Makers Concerned with Immigrants and Refugees, GSIR. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, our organization created the California Immigrant Resilience Fund and worked with funders and donors to raise $50 million to support cash assistance to undocumented residents that were left out of the federal stimulus aid. We knew that over 2 million undocumented Californians were not going to receive this critical government support, despite paying more than $7 billion in local, state, and federal taxes annually. As many of you already know, undocumented immigrants are concentrated in low-wage sectors hardest hit by this pandemic. From caregiving and hospitality to food service, agriculture, and day labor, they are more vulnerable to COVID-19, have lost their jobs, or are seeing reduced hours, and in many cases have no other means of keeping a roof over their heads or putting food on the table. To reach the most vulnerable community members among us, we partnered with many funds and organizations across the state, and we're thrilled to partner with Monument Impact to get funds out to the residents of the Monument Corridor, Concord, and other parts of Contra Costa County. Monument Impact has been our key partner in the county. We chose to partner with them because we knew they had the closest relationships and the trust of the hardest to reach amongst us. We knew that Monument Impact also had the capacity and the leadership to carry out this critical disbursement of cash assistance to those most impacted by this extreme economic fallout. The Monument Relief Fund is not only providing immediate cash assistance, but also establishes a long-term infrastructure that can be reactivated and quickly mobilized to address future crises and opportunities. We are so proud to partner with Monument Impact and hope you will join us in supporting their outstanding work. As one of our donors said, immigrants are not just essential, they are a part of California's heart and soul. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harmony, for your tremendous support of our relief fund. Thank you, Jose Antonio Vargas, Deuce Eclipse, and Jose Cordon. And we are so grateful to our sponsors and all of our guests who have donated so generously tonight.
Thank you, Lita. The commitment you and our board of directors has made has been really moving and has really helped Monument Impact to grow. And Stronger Together has raised $30,000 so far, so we're inching towards our goal. Every gift helps a family get through these times. So thanks to all of you for donating so generously tonight. As we look to how we all respond, let's just remember that we can't afford to go back to the way things were with the inequities in health, economic opportunity, and in access to affordable housing. We must build a stronger community where everyone belongs and no one is left behind.
Again, all of us at Monument Impact are so grateful to you all for being here. And please check the chat right now and let's see who won a copy of Jose's fantastic memoir. And congratulations to the winners.
Let's go out on a high note with optimism and love with another song from Deuce Eclipse.
Good night, everyone.
hay pasaje. Cuando camino es como un terremoto. Lo negativo de la vida yo no acepto. La vida con conexión, eso sí que me complace. Quítate la máscara y también tu maquillaje. Quiero ver tu cara ahí adentro de tus ojos. Vamos a bailar el ritmo de nuestros abuelos. Quiero hablar un rato en la calle como gato. Pagamos en la vida no es barata. La vida es una hermosa lucha, exacto. Óyeme muchacho, el camino es ancho y no hay que vivir como chancho. Cuando miramos no todo es negro y blanco. Respiro para adentro para detener mi llanto. Todo lo que siento. He conocido a tanta gente en mi camino. Ay, 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 ay. Este hombre hace siempre lo que piensa. Ay, 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 ay. Muévanse, no hay reglas. Miren para el cielo. Guayno, bomba, macarena, reggae, cumbia, alta plena, rumba hasta la tumba. Vamos a romper el suelo. Estoy caliente, quiero hielo. La vida de un callejero. Mira todo mundo cómo te sientes, qué pasa. Fuera de la caja donde pienso soy el blasta. Por avión o carro siempre viajo como NASA. Mira por todos lugares necesito agua. Esta vida siempre va a ser pa' nosotros. Como se dice el dicho desde todo un poco. Marinero, curandero, alas como Igor, Águila y Superstar. He conocido a tanta gente en mi camino. Ay, 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 ay. Este hombre hace siempre lo que piensa. Ay, 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 ay. Everybody in the house, put your hands up. Let's get down to the rhythm in the cut, put your hands up. Everybody feel better right now with your hands up. Shouts out Jazz Mafia, shouts out Mother Wolf, El Cool Cow. Vintage futuro coming soon for a while. In the rhythm, in the culture, hiding from the vulture. Take a picture like my number nota. Thank you very much, I'm Deucey Clips. Everybody love each other. Let's look in for a minute instead of always looking out. I appreciate y'all. One love. Holla at your boy. I hope to see y'all soon, man. Peace. Yeah.